Hey everyone, it's Melinda with Tailored and Teal and welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, I am a part-time online reseller on Poshmark, Mercari, and eBay. And one of my favorite things about reselling is researching and learning. And in today's video, we're going over 3 lesser known pottery companies that can bring you big money if found in the thrift stores. I am a researcher by nature. I've always loved researching in college for papers and in school. I hated to write the papers, but I love the researching project. And in my corporate Monday through Friday 8 to 2 job, I also research, but in a banking and financial atmosphere. So it's in my nature. I love to do it. I recently went to my local library, which I haven't been to a library in a very long time, maybe even before COVID. I know that's really bad, but I picked up this book. Sorry, my ring light's reflecting. It is the Pottery and Porcelain Ceramics Price Guide. This is the 7th edition. It was made in 2014, but I was able to learn about a lot of different artists and pottery companies that I've never heard of before. And I wanted to bring that research to you all so that you can learn as well. I love to share the knowledge. And in order to know about those really valuable pieces to see in thrift stores and antique centers, you have to do some research. So I'm going to share with you what I found. I am going to go over 3 different pottery companies or artists. So for each of the companies and artists, I'm going to go over a little bit of history, how they got started in pottery making, kind of their timeline, and then I will also go over what to look for in thrift stores with both the markings and also what to look for in terms of shapes and glazes. So the first person I'm going to go over is George Orr, and that's spelled O-H-R. I hope that I'm saying that right. And I do have my notes down here that I will be reading from. So George Edgar Orr was born on July 12th of 1857 in Biloxi, Mississippi. He created pottery from around 1879 to 1910. And he was considered the Mad Potter of Biloxi. And I'm pretty sure that he created that name for himself. I say he did pottery around 1879, starting it because there were a lot of conflicting dates on the internet. So that's why I'm saying it's around 1879. He was a very eccentric man and had an 18-inch mustache. He had a 5-foot wooden pagoda as his pottery studio, and they had crazy signs all over the place, trying to attract people, visitors to the area to come in, look at his pottery, and then hopefully purchase it as well. He dug his own clay, he built his own kiln, and he created his own glazes. All of his pieces were hand thrown. They are very thin walled and have a crushed or folded appearance. And that is one of the most distinct attributes of his pottery, is that folded or crushed look to it. It's really pretty cool. And of course, I will be inserting some pictures over here so you can kind of get an idea. The glazes that he created were sometimes colorful, sometimes neutral, but definitely heavily glazed. His pottery studio closed in 1910, and because he was so disheartened by the lack of his success, he asked his family to keep the collection closed for 50 years after his death. I told you he was an eccentric person. He died on April 7th of 1918 at age 60 during the flu pandemic of that year. James Carpenter, an antique dealer from New Jersey, purchased the entire collection from the Orr family in the 1970s for around $100,000. And let me tell you, that was a steal compared to what some of the pieces currently are selling for. James Carpenter started introducing George Orr's work, over 10,000 different pieces of pottery, to the Northeast, and he very quickly became recognized for the master potter that he was, or at least that he thought he was back then. And I personally think that he is a great potter. I mean, look at the pieces he created. They're fantastic. The stamps and signatures that he put on the bottom of his pottery is pretty easy to identify. It's either going to say G.E. Orr Biloxi or G.E.O.E. Orr Biloxi MISS, or even a shortened script signature, all of which I will put up here. So that's all about George Orr. It's a little sad and tragic that we had to wait 50 years after his death in order to see all of his pieces. I would have to imagine that moving over 10,000 pieces from Mississippi to New Jersey was not easy. And apparently Carpenter did it all by himself, maybe with, one or two people helping, but I think that he made several trips back and forth, which is kind of interesting. The next company we're going to go over is the Newcomb College Pottery, and this was in existence from 1895 to 1940. In 1866, Josephine Louise Newcomb gave Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana, $100,000 in memory of her daughter, Harriet Sophie Newcomb, to create the first degree-granting coordinate college for women. And if you didn't know what a coordinate college was, because I certainly didn't, a coordinate college is a college that has both men and women enrolled as attendees, but the classes are taught separately. So women were all in one class and men were all in another class. And I didn't do this in my research, but now I'm interested to know if there are actually coordinate colleges that are in existence today and are still doing that split class type of thing. The art department in Newcomb College was led by Ellsworth and William Woodward and Miss Gertrude Robert Smith. They had quite a lot of interest in the art department, and in 1895, the Newcomb Pottery Enterprise was established. Within the art department, a pottery class and kiln was created to not only teach ceramics, but to also earn income for the college as well. Pieces were designed by over 90 different artists, mostly women. However, back then they thought it was very unladylike for a woman to sit at a potter's wheel. So they employed Joseph Fortune Meyer as the main potter who would throw the pieces until his retirement in 1927. The women would choose the design, the shape of the object, and then after it was thrown by their in-house potter, Mr. Meyer, they would hand decorate and glaze the pieces themselves. The pottery always acted as a studio and never functioned as a factory. The pieces were sold to visitors of the college at exhibitions, and in its later years, it was sold at outlets of department stores. It was very influenced by the arts and crafts movement, so each piece was hand-thrown from local clay, and they are known for their soft, waxy, semi-gloss finish with hand-carved pastel decorations. The pieces were made in muted matte colors with trees, flowers, and the occasional small animal in blue and gray-green colors. Pieces from the Newcomb College pottery are scarce and are hard to find, but they did produce over 70,000 distinct pieces. The pottery closed their doors in the 1939 to 1940 school year because the new leadership wanted to focus more on the educational learning of the students, not the commercial aspect of the pottery studio. The pieces are stamped with a big C and an uppercase N in the middle of the C. A registration number started in 1901, and then a shape number started in 1910, and then you also have the artist mark. If you go to newcombpottery.com, it has a whole list of artists, registration number, shape number, and you can identify like when exactly that piece was created, what year, by what artist. But when you're out and about looking for items, you want to look for that C and N stamp. That's your first indication that it's a Newcomb pottery piece. I'm sure that I already put up comparable sold listings for George Orr in the last little segment, so I will also include sold listings on eBay for this pottery. And as you can see here, they can get thousands of dollars for certain pieces. All right, moving on to Gruby Pottery. That's Grueby. I am hoping that I'm saying that right. I did look up the pronunciation, but I didn't really come across anything, so we're just gonna go with Gruby. William Henry Gruby was born on February 10th of 1867 in Chelsea, Massachusetts, which is just a little north of Boston. He started training at a very young age, around 13 or 14 years old, at the Low Art Tile Works in 1880. In 1895, he started his own plant selling architectural faience, architectural terracotta, glazed bricks, and tiles. And his company was called the Gruby Faience Company. And if you didn't know what faience was, I did have to look up how to say this. You can either say it faience or faience, and it is the term for tin glazed pottery. His pieces were also influenced by the arts and craft movement and experimented with different glazes as well. His pottery was displayed in an exhibition at the Society of Arts and Crafts of Boston and quickly became popular afterwards. After gaining this popularity from being in that exhibition, he employed many graduates of art schools to help with the modeling and decoration of the pottery. Unfortunately, this success also brought a lot of competition from other pottery companies with the arts and crafts movement, and unfortunately the pottery company went bankrupt in 1908, and about 10 years later the Gruby Faience Company was sold in 1919. Gruby pottery is iconic for their matte green glaze, but they also used yellow, blue, brown, creamy white, and mauve colors. The pottery was conventional and naturally shaped forms that were hand sculpted and carved. Most of the pieces were hand thrown, well designed, and were thick walled by clay made from Martha's Vineyard or from New Jersey. Gruby died February 23rd of 1925 at the age of 58. The stamps on the bottom of Gruby pottery is kind of in a circle, and it'll say Gruby Pottery, Boston, USA, Gruby Faience, Boston, USA. And then there are also ones that are just in lines that says Gruby Pottery, Boston, USA, just Gruby, and also just that little flower as well. I just want to mention again that these pieces are scarce, rare, and are hard to find. However, clearly there are pieces on eBay that have sold, so people have found these items. There was a story in one of the articles that I was researching and reading, and a lady bought a storage unit because the person either passed away or couldn't pay, so she purchased it, and in a box was a piece from George Orr, just sitting there for who knows how many years. So it is possible to find these pieces out and about. Hopefully I've given you the tools and the information that you know how to identify the pieces. Now there are a lot of pieces that are inspired by or looks like, which might be valuable as well if you kind of market them as that. But of course, do your own research before listing those inspired like items. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed the research and bringing it to you. Hopefully it gives you the knowledge and the information to go out into the thrift stores and hopefully find one of these $1,000 worth pieces. That would be amazing. Also, if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below. I'm always a little hesitant to create new types of videos because I'm not sure if people are going to be interested in them. So if you liked what you watched, please leave a comment. I would love to do more of these videos because not only do I learn, but you learn as well. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye!